friends, I'm Miss B. Let's read Peppa Loves Yoga. It's been a very busy morning at playgroup. Peppa and her friends have played instruments, dressed up in fancy clothes, and made the messiest of crafts. Now we are going to say hello to a visitor, Madame Gazelle says. Ooh, gasps the children. They wonder who the visitor is. The visitor is at the door. The children can't wait. They start to cheer. The visitor is Miss Rabbit. The children jump up and down excitedly. Namaste, says Miss Rabbit, putting her hands together and bowing slowly. That is how we say hello before yoga. What's yoga? Danny Dog asks while waving his arms. Yoga is a way of relaxing, Madame Gazelle explains. It's a bit like having a rest. And if you're feeling stressed, relaxing with yoga is a great way to calm down. Peppa and her friends stop jumping. Namaste, they repeat and slowly bow toward Miss Rabbit. How to pronounce namaste? Namaste. Namaste. Madame Gazelle is right. The children feel a little bit calmer. Then they follow Miss Rabbit outside. Everyone sits on a mat outside. Now, touch your fingers and thumbs together and close your eyes, Miss Rabbit says. The children do. Everyone breathes slowly through their noses to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, says Miss Rabbit. Breathe the children. Next, we will do tree pose, says Miss Rabbit. Stand on one leg and be as tall as a tree. Everyone copies Miss Rabbit. Put your leg forward and bend into warrior pose, says Miss Rabbit. I think this one is like being a surfer. Everyone steps forward. They like being surfers. You'll like this next one, Danny, says Miss Rabbit, putting her hands on the floor and lifting her tail into the air. It's called the downward dog. Then Miss Rabbit stretches up like a snake. And this one is called cobra pose, she explains. Finally, Miss Rabbit lowers her voice and whispers, Now we must rest. Lie down on your backs while I count very slowly. 1, 2, 3. It's time for the children's parents to pick them up. We've been doing some yoga, Madame Gazelle explains. It looks very relaxing, says Daddy Pig. Yoga is relaxing, says Madame Gazelle. I think we should do it every day. Everyone loves yoga. Try a yoga exercise, just like Peppa. It was wonderful that Miss Rabbit came to visit Peppa and her friends at the playgroup. But you can do yoga everywhere. Here are some tips to take yoga on the go and get a bit of relaxation. Take a big deep breath in through your nose. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Then breathe out with your mouth. Stand up tall. Bring your arms to both sides. Move them upward, stretching out over your head until they meet. Then release your arms. Close your eyes and count to 3. Try tree pose or yoga pose. Hey guys, I'm Miss B. Let's read Peppa Pig. George goes to the potty. Peppa, Susie, and George are having a tea party when they smell something stinky. It's coming from George. Do you need the potty, George? Asks Mummy Pig. I think it's too late for the potty, says Peppa. Mummy Pig gets George all cleaned up. Peppa already knows how to use the potty, so she will help teach George. Mummy Pig tells George, next time, before you go poo-poo or wee-wee, call out the magic word, potty. Peppa and Susie play hide-and-seek with George. Suddenly, George freezes. He whispers, wee-wee. Peppa calls out, Mommy, Daddy, George wants his potty. Daddy Pig rushes George to the potty. Well done, George, but next time, don't forget to shout the magic word, potty, Daddy Pig reminds him. Later on, George plays with Peppa and Susie outside. He gets a stirring feeling in his tummy again. He shouts the magic word, potty! Hang on, George, says Daddy Pig as he runs out with George's potty. Everyone Everyone is so proud of George. Hooray! George can use the potty, and you can too. Hey friends, I'm Miss B. Join me today for a magical adventure with Peppa and her friends as they celebrate St. Patrick's Day. They wear lots of green, they go on treasure hunts, and they learn cool things about Ireland. Let's get started. Peppa loves St. Patrick's Day. It's St. Patrick's Day. Peppa and her family are going to Ireland. St. Patrick's Day began in Ireland. Those who celebrate usually attend parades or festivals and wear green. Peppa and George pack their bags. They can't wait. Peppa and her family live in England. Since it's close by, they can take a ferry ride to Ireland. A ferry is a big boat that transports passengers and other objects, like cars. Wow, Peppa says. She likes riding on the ferry. Before they arrive, Peppa and George see Ireland from a distance. People call Ireland the Emerald Isle, Daddy Pig explains, because it's green like an emerald. When they arrive, Peppa likes how green everything is. At the top of a hill, Peppa spots Miss Rabbit in a gift shop. Look at the green outfits, Peppa gasps. These would be perfect for the St. Patrick's Day festival. Can we get some, Daddy, please? Okay, Daddy Pig replies. They can be our little bit of Ireland to take home. Mummy Pig buys a few extra things, like musical instruments, to take home. You can never have too many family gifts. But when they arrive at the St. Patrick's Day festival, it's very quiet. I thought St. Patrick's Day festivals have lots of music and dancing, Peppa says. Why can't we hear anything? At the stage, they find Miss Rabbit again. I'm afraid we might have to cancel the festival, she says. Some of the band has forgotten their instruments. No St. Patrick's Day festival? Peppa asks. Then she gets an idea. What instruments do they need? An accordion, a tin whistle, and a fiddle, says Miss Rabbit. Mummy and Daddy Pig check the car. They find an accordion, a tin whistle, and a fiddle. You never know what will come in handy, says Mummy Pig, smiling. Thanks to Peppa and her family, the festival can now begin, Miss Rabbit announces. Hooray! Everyone cheers. Peppa and her family change into their green outfits. Irish dancing is the best, cries Peppa. I just can't stop. Me neither, says Daddy Pig, going quite red. You're not green like Ireland, Daddy, says Peppa. You're red. Daddy Pig chuckles. Thanks, Peppa, he says. Everyone has so much fun dancing, they don't notice that it started to rain. Luckily, Miss Rabbit appears with a basket of rain boots. It's getting too muddy to dance now, says Miss Rabbit, frowning. Yes, replies Peppa, but it's the perfect amount of muddy to... Splat! Jump in muddy puddles, Peppa says. Everyone at the St. Patrick's Day festival jumps up and down in muddy puddles. Hee, splat! I can't wait for next St. Patrick's Day, Peppa says as her family boards the ferry to go home. Peppa loves St. Patrick's Day. Everyone loves St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is celebrated every year on March 17th. Traditionally, it's celebrated with parades, festivals, and the color green. Many people consider it a big part of Irish culture. Shamrocks, or three-leaf clovers, are an important symbol on St. Patrick's Day. They're often worn on clothing or decorations. As Daddy Pig tells Peppa, Ireland is also known as the Emerald Isle. It is covered in grass and other green plants. Since St. Patrick's Day in part celebrates Ireland, green has become a symbol of St. Patrick's Day too. On St. Patrick's Day, those who celebrate may enjoy a traditional Irish meal, including a special food called soda bread, which is made not with the sugary sodas we drink, but with baking soda. Other foods may include sautéed cabbage or green-colored treats, like green milkshakes. Of course, music and dancing are big parts of St. Patrick's Day celebrations too. Irish dancing, a type of step dance, is very popular and often accompanied with instruments like accordions, tin whistles, and fiddles. Hey friends, I'm Miss B, and this is Peppa Pig's class trip. Peppa and her friends are going on a class trip. Let's check that you are all here, says Madame Gazelle. Here, cries Peppa.
Woof. Grunt.
Snort. Today, says Madame Gazelle, we are going on a trip to the mountains. Hooray! Cheer all the children. Peppa and Susie are already a little hungry. Can we eat our lunches now, please? They ask Madame Gazelle. Why don't you eat your apples and save the rest for our picnic? The teacher replies. The bus has arrived at the foot of the mountain. The road is very steep. Come on, bus, you can make it, everyone cheers. Peppa and her friends have finally made it to the top of the mountain. Look at that view, gasps Madame Gazelle. All the children look out over the valley. Wow, exclaims Peppa loudly. Peppa hears in the distance. What was that, she asks. It's your echo, Peppa, replies Madame Gazelle. The kids all take turns making noises to hear their echoes.
Quack. Woof.
Bah! Snort!
Quack. Woof.
Bah! Snort! Now it's time for a picnic lunch. Peppa loves picnics. Everyone loves picnics. Munch. Slurp.
Crunch.
Where are the ducks? Asks Peppa, taking a bite of her sandwich. They always turn up when we have picnics. Quack, quack, quack. Here comes the ducks. Hello, would you like some bread? Peppa asks them. The ducks are very lucky today. The kids brought plenty of extra bread to feed them. Everyone hops back on the bus. It's time to go home. Let's all sing a song, suggests Madame Gazelle. Everyone has had a great day. The end. Hey friends, I'm Miss B. Let's read Peppa Pig, Safety First. Today is a very fun day at Peppa's school. The police are visiting. They will teach us about safety, says Madame Gazelle. The students go outside to wait for the police to arrive. The children make noises like a police siren. Nina, Nina, says Freddie Fox. They hear a real siren. A police car arrives. I am Police Officer Squirrel, says one police officer. And I am Police Officer Panda, says the other. The officers are here to teach the children about bike safety. Peppa and her friends ride all over the schoolyard. Well done, says Officer Panda. Next, the children practice ringing their bells and honking their horns. Peppa is good at ringing her bell, but Pedro Pony is the loudest of all. Honk! It is time to practice braking. Officer Panda goes to the bottom of the hill. Peppa and her friends race down the hill. At the bottom, they use their brakes to stop. Very good, everyone, says Officer Panda. Madame Gazelle rides down the hill next. Whee! She cheers. She rings her bell and uses her brakes. Well done, says Officer Panda. Peppa and her friends clap. The children learn it is a police officer's job to help others and keep them safe. Peppa Pig thinks being a police officer sounds very important. Freddie Fox does too. I want to be a police officer, says Freddie Fox. I like blowing whistles. There is more to being a police officer than blowing whistles, says Officer Panda. We must always keep our eyes and ears open, says Officer Panda. Then he walks into a tree. Oof, he says. Who put that tree there? I will make a note, says Officer Squirrel. Dangerous tree, she says as she writes. A police officer's work is never done. It is time to say goodbye. Peppa and her friends thank the officers for visiting. Bye-bye, everyone says. Officer Squirrel and Officer Panda drive their police car back to the station. This time, they leave the siren off. They are not in a hurry. Peppa learned a lot today. Maybe when she grows up, she will help keep others safe too. Hey friends, I'm Miss B, and this is Peppa's Mermaid Adventure. Peppa and Rebecca love to play mermaids. Sometimes I wish I were a mermaid, says Rebecca. I'd love to have a shiny tail and swim underwater every day, Peppa replies. That gives Rebecca an idea. Let's have an under-the-sea party, she says. Peppa and Rebecca make some under-the-sea party invitations. They use lots and lots of glitter. Very shiny, says Daddy Pig. Just like mermaids' tails, replies Peppa. Then Peppa and Susie hand out the invitations. The party is tomorrow, Peppa says. Please come. That night, Peppa is very excited. Remember, Peppa, the party is in 2 days, Mummy Pig reminds her. But I told everyone the party is tomorrow, says Peppa. Oh no, says Mummy Pig. We forgot to put the date on the invitations. Mummy Pig makes a phone call. Then there is a knock at the door. It's Miss Rabbit. Miss Rabbit, emergency party planner and entertainer extraordinaire, says Miss Rabbit. I hear you are in need of an under-the-sea party. Yes, says Daddy Pig, for tomorrow. No problem, replies Miss Rabbit. You go to bed. I've got this. In the morning, Peppa and her family wake up and go downstairs. Their house has been transformed into an underwater wonderland. Look, George, gasped Peppa. There's a beach and shells. Peppa finds some costumes. Ooh, she squeals in delight. This mermaid costume has the shiniest tail I have ever seen. The fridge is full of tasty food. There are crab-shaped treats and starfish-shaped sandwiches. Soon the guests arrive. They are all dressed in underwater costumes. Hello, says Peppa. I'm Peppa the mermaid, and this is George the crab. Welcome to our under-the-sea home. Once everyone is inside, it's time for the underwater adventure to begin. First, Miss Rabbit asks the children to wiggle their toes in the sand. Ooh, says Peppa, it feels all tickly. Next, Miss Rabbit hands out seashells. Put the seashells to your ears and tell me what you can hear, she says. The sea, shout the children. Then Miss Rabbit gives them some smelly toy fish. Take a good sniff. What can you smell, she asks. Urgh, shout the children. These smell fishy. When they are done, Miss Rabbit teaches the children how to swans. It's swimming and dancing at the same time, Miss Rabbit says. She waves her arms. The children do the same thing. The children love to swans. Peppa is having so much fun. She imagines that she and Rebecca are under the sea. There's all sorts of things, like a seahorse, stingray, and fish. Being a mermaid is amazing, Daddy, cries Peppa. Can we have another under-the-sea party next week? Next week, Daddy Pig repeats. Maybe he'll need to call Miss Rabbit. Party cleanup extraordinaire. Hey friends, I'm Miss B, and this is Peppa Pig, Rainy Day. It is raining. Peppa and George have to stay inside. I do not like rainy days, Peppa says sadly. Daddy Pig thinks of a game to play. He calls it the rainy day game. He will hide a rubber duck, and George and Peppa will find the duck. Peppa thinks that the game sounds too easy. She thinks that George should find the duck first. Daddy Pig hides the duck in the bedroom. George cannot find the duck. You can see it. Just look with your eyes, says Daddy Pig. George uses his eyes. You are getting warmer, Daddy Pig says. George finds the rubber duck. Peppa still thinks that the game is too easy. It is Peppa's turn to find the duck. Mummy Pig hides the duck in the kitchen. Peppa cannot find the duck. Mummy Pig says, the duck is sitting with something that is yellow. Bananas, says Peppa. She finds the duck. The rainy day game is fun. Peppa wants to play it again. Daddy Pig puts the duck somewhere for George and Peppa to find together. Peppa and George cannot find the duck. Where is the duck? Peppa asks. Daddy Pig says, it is sitting on something very big and very wise. And very handsome, says Mummy Pig. The duck is on Daddy Pig's head. That is the best hiding place ever, Peppa says. Outside, The rain has stopped. I want to play the rainy day game again, says Peppa. I can think of an outside rainy day game that you might like, says Daddy Pig. What is it? asks Peppa. Daddy Pig says, we need to find a muddy puddle. I found it, Peppa says. What do you do when you find a muddy puddle? Daddy Pig asks. Jump up and down in it. Peppa likes rainy day games. Peppa really likes muddy puddles. Play your own rainy day game, just like Peppa and her family. Number 1, have the youngest person in your family pick out a small stuffed animal that they want hidden. Number 2, the oldest person in your family will hide the stuffed animal somewhere, while everyone else closes their eyes and counts to 20. Number 3, when you all open your eyes, it's time to find the stuffed animal. Whoever finds it first gets to hide it next. Number 4, if you're playing with someone much younger than you, make sure to hide the stuffed animal somewhere they can find it. You can use clues and hints, just like Peppa and her family do. Number 5, have fun. Happy rainy day, friends! Learn, grow, and let the stories flow. Like and subscribe.